Alright guys, quick disclaimer up top for anyone in the distant future perhaps that has not gone and seen the actual battles or long after the Google Drive is gone, that the battle with Icy Dude and JustWeavile did not happen. It was in fact a forfeit win for JustWeavile. So all that talk about those kills or whatever did not happen. So gonna be sure to check out the match data between each match next time. So we'll have 6 battles today, and we've got 2 matches without footage. Those will be at the end, and we'll show you the match data for those. So with that, let's get into it. Alright people, no intro, no nothing. We are back for week 4 of the Battle Hub Draft League Season 2 recap. And we are going to get into it with Captain B-Nard versus DaBestNotReally. Now, Captain B-Nard was just coming off of a win versus Emeraldminer, and they are looking to continue to try to continue their pace. The Best has actually been doing fairly well at this point in the league. They're looking to continue their streak, and they're going to go up against Captain B-Nard, who they faced in Season 1. With a kind of a similar team that they faced B-Nard with, of course, they've got Florages, they've got the Delphox, they've got the Ditto and the Zoroark, but now they've also got mons like Gliscor and Sneasler, big improvements. While B-Nard also has some cool mons like Palafin and the Ogerpon Hearthflame, as well as the Wigglytuff. So it's Poltergeist is going to come in clutch if they can get off a Shell Smash with the weak armor. The Palafin is very clean with the Jet Punch priority. They do have to be careful though about the hazards from Gliscor, because B-Nard did not bring the Glamora this week. So once those hazards get up, they're up for good. And unfortunately, it doesn't have a lot of switch-ins to hazards. So we see the Delphox versus the Kilowatt are going to get off a huge amount of chip with the Side Shot. Going to get out of there because Delphox doesn't want to die to the next Air Slash. Florages is a great switch-in. Nice big spit F-Wall. Still takes a good chunk because I believe this thing is Specs. So we bring in the Earthworm. Goes for a Synthesis. This Florages wants to stay healthy. Sort of risk to flinch there, but odds are they would have gotten out of that situation fine either way. Gets back to full to keep it healthy. They're going to send in Dracia, who is the Delphox once again, as Alaska is going to go for some nice rocks. So they might not be able to remove it themselves, but at least they can get him up versus the best. So the Delphox is in. It's going to go for a move. They do send in the Ogerpon, which is kind of, it's going to potentially take a hit from the Delphox. It actually goes for Reflect though. So very cool to see that tech from the best. Reflect Delphox, as they do go for the Flamethrower on the knockoff from the Ogerpon, as that's going to take it out, despite the Reflect, because they didn't Terra Fairy or anything, so it's still weak to it. So the Gliscor is going to take some nice rocks chip, as Ogerpon's going to get out of there, and send in Alaska, which can pretty much wall this Gliscor. Problem is that this Earthworm unfortunately cannot touch the Gliscor either. As you will see, this Gliscor is now in and ready to set up the hazards. They're going to go for Taunt to ensure, just in case they were to go for spikes on the Earthworm or something like that, but they're actually going to go for the Heavy Slam. But because of how bulky Gliscor is, and apparently doesn't weigh that much either, the Poison Heal is pretty much going to negate any damage they do. And they're just going to continue to stack up these spikes. Gliscor doing what it does best. The part of the reason that it got banned from OU, just its ability to set up these hazards. Captain B-Nard sees this situation as futile. He's going to bring in the Banded Palafin to try to scare out this Gliscor, as they're going to get up a second layer of spikes. So I believe that's roughly 18 plus 12%. Roughly 30%. They're going to be taking every time B-Nard switches in a mon, as the Florge is going to come out and take some nice rocks. B-Nard's got some hazards up too. They're going to get their 0 to hero activated now, as they send in Joey Fontaine, the Wigglytuff, who is going to continue to take some chip, as they can use this to kind of pivot out into another mon. They could potentially pivot back out into the Palafin. Get a little bit of leftovers recovery, as the Florge is going to go for a Moonblast, do a heck of a lot of damage, actually give it the special attack shot into the competitive strangely enough, which then lets them baton pass. Now, apparently, the rules for the league, if you do the baton pass and you get the stats just so happenstance, you can send in a Pokemon. Actually, sending Kilowattrel to die, which arguably is the honorable thing to do to not pass the stats, but it would have been fine for them if they were to send in, let's say, the Poltergeist. Either way, the Ogerpon is going to come in and take a lot of hazards. This thing is almost dead just from hazards alone. It's coming to those rocks twice now, I believe. Or what was the rocks up? I'm not sure. Either way, they're going to Terra Dragon here on the Ivy Cudgel, as it is not going to do that much. The Reflect is still up, I believe, as they're going to go for the grassy terrain there. And now that will activate the terrain for the Sneasler, as B-Nard is going to get a little bit of HP recovery, but the problem is that the best is also going to as well. They go for the player off and miss, unfortunately, very unfortunate, as they're going to be able to baton pass out, actually now, and this is the perfect opportunity to bring in the Sneasler and be able to. They are going to get a little bit of Stealth Rock's chip, but they aren't Focus Sash. They are the Grassy Seeds. They're going to get a big defense boost here, as and it's even then going to get back up to full, so the rocks didn't even really matter because the grass terrain. And Acrobatics is easily going to be able to take out this Ogerpon. Unfortunately, was not able to do a lot. They do send in the Poltergeist, though. Gonna take a chip from hazards, though. They're going to have to play their gambit right now and go for the Terra Dark, actually, in an attempt to live perhaps a Shadow Claw, which this Sneasler would have gone for, because its other stabs are resisted or not very effective. They go for the Acrobatics, actually, so it didn't really matter, as the defense boost is going, or the defense is going to fall from the weak armor, get that speed boost, and we do see that the White Herb is going to reset the weak armor boost. They're going to Shell Smash. Their defense and special defense are going to drop again anyways. So now this thing is +4 speed and +2 attack, so stored power is looking phenomenal here. They couldn't store power at first, but now they're going to do a lot more damage. Unfortunately, the Sneasler still outspeeds because this is actually a Jolly Sneasler. Now, had they been Timid Poltergeist, the Poltergeist still would have outsped Jolly Sneasler +4, but unfortunately, because B-Nard decided to run Modest or not a speed boosting nature or something like that, the Sneasler still outsped because it was Jolly. So, Orthworm comes in, gonna go for the close combat, can't Terra. I'm not sure if Orthworm is the Terra Captain at this point or not, but it is going to get taken out by the close combat there, unfortunately. As Malphite comes in, you know, you wanted to get that defense drop because it had the defense boost initially, so now that its defenses are back to normal, I believe it is going to be able to go for the Jet Punch here. It still does not take it out, even with the neutral defense. Sneasler proving it is no slouch either. So, that little bit of Rock's chip, remember, from before, it got healed up by the grassy terrain, otherwise it might have died to that Jet Punch. Unfortunately, the Wigglytuff is going to come in and almost die to hazards, but a Dire Claw will finish it off. The Sneasler has absolutely devastated B-Nard's team. Quite unfortunate for Captain B-Nard, but good for the best. The curse of the BHDL continues, where people that might have won previously lose in Season 2, it would seem. So we are now with a Praetor versus Pokemaster, as a Praetor's got his nice and powerful Snow team. They got the Ninetales, they got the Titan with mons like Ursaluna. Pokemaster has his Iron Jugulus and mons like Chandelure and Meowscarada. We see the Phalanx versus Meowscarada lead, as Meowscarada's going to get out of there. Phalanx might potentially get off no retreat or something like that. They could go for the first impression if they have it, as we do indeed see a first impression. Chris isn't having any of that. They don't want to risk the potential first impression, and good move scouting for that. They got into the defensive Como with Lefty. He's going to go straight for a close combat, actually, as the Como is actually just going to go for a nice little Stealth Rock. You know, that's a great idea versus ice types like Titan and Alola Ninetales, as continues to heal up with its leftovers. This Phalanx has gotten a defense drop. They don't want to take a potential hit from this Como, so they're going to try to switch in something else. They send in Jafar, which is the NDD, to try to set up the terrain. That way, when the Titan comes in, they won't be able to go for priority moves versus it. So, terrain is now up. They could also try to resist a hit from this thing. Though it is to neutral, and actually a crit body press is going to take out this NDD, unfortunately. Or probably also maybe trying to revenge it. Assuming this was physically defensive, perhaps a special attacking NDD with the terrain could have killed this Como. Instead, we're going to see Alola Ninetales come out, so to potentially scare this thing out with a 4x super effective Moonblast. Is going to take these Stealth Rocks because it is indeed Icy Rock, and Como is not having it. They are going to get the heck out of there, not wanting to risk anything. We do see the Chandelure come in, actually, as going to go for the Aurora Veil. This Ninetales is chipped, however, from the Stealth Rocks, only at 75%, so the Chandelure with its base 145 attack, Flamethrower, is going to kill the Alola Ninetales through Aurora Veil. The Snow boosts its physical defense, but not its special defense, as the Titan comes in, also going to take some rocks. Gonna try to Terra to potentially resist this incoming Flamethrower from this Scarf Chandelure. We know that because it outsped the Ninetales, obviously. Terra Fire, indeed, for the Chandelure. So, a great prep on Operator's part to try to set up on this Chandelure, which, usually is choiced in some way. They are going to go down to 25%, but the Citrus will bring them back up to 50%. Because they are Slush Rush, they are able to outspeed the Scarf Chandelure at this point. Does go for another Flamethrower. However, with a critical hit through the Aurora Veil, it does an absolute huge amount of damage, even though it's a resisted hit. So it is able to live on, though, as +6 Earthquake is easily going to be able to tire out this defensive Como, which is quite a feat. That thing was almost at full. We do see the weirdness disappear now. Chandelure comes back in, just trying to stall out some turns of snow at this point. They can't even really send in the Meowscarada to Sucker Punch at this point because the Titan has Ice Shard, and +6 Ice Shard should take out. The Aurora Veil goes down. They are going to send in the Iron Shreds, however. Switched out, continue to just try to waste out these turns, try to force them to go for a move. And go for the Earthquake, which is resistant to Meowscarada. Doesn't quite kill, so continuing to burn these snow turns as Meowscarada finally goes down. That Icy Rock is really coming through for a prayer at this point. The snow's still up, still able to outspeed the Iron Shreds. They go for the Icicle Sphere, though, fearing a potential Shuca Berry. It is berry, but it's not what you might expect. It's actually a Lychee Berry, which boosts the Iron Shreds' attack after getting 2 hits. And they only get 2 hits. Very unfortunate, as this Iron Shred is probably going to just continue to sweep through their entire team, or at the very least continue to open the way up. But this Iron Shreds, unfortunately, does stand in their way. Earthquake probably would have been a much safer play. They could have been Shuca, but they switched out the first time, fearing it. So Ceruledge comes in, going to take the Ceruledge itself is actually Shuca, so there's Shuca Berry. Goes for Earthquake and still manages to take it out because of the Lychee Berry boosting this Iron Shred's attack. It is +1. Might not have killed it otherwise, but considering the fact that it has rocks up, or took Rock Chip and a Lychee Berry from the Iron Shreds, it's going to die. As Phalanx comes in, going to go for the Iron Head onto it. Does able to live. Phalanx actually has 100 physical defense, the base defense. So basically, fairly bulky. It is going to get the +1/+1/+1 at this point. So you should outspeed this Shreds and be able to kill it with CC. The problem is, what do you do after that, though? Yep, there's the close combat to take out the Iron Shreds. As going to get that defense drop, so its defenses are back to neutral now. You still have +1 speed, though, but the Iron Jugulis is going to come in at this point. And it is going to get its booster energy, and it is revealed to be booster speed indeed, so Iron Jugulis is going to outspeed them. Finally going to go for a Terra on Pokemaster's side of the field, and we do see the Terra Steel, probably for something like the Ninetales, or this is a Titan, so they are going to reveal Terra Steel, and with that they can easily go for a stab flash cannon now, and that should take out this Phalanx considering its defensive reset to neutral. So hi ho, unfortunately will go down there. They do have Papa Bear in the back though, so Papa Bear could maybe do something with a potential Earth Power, maybe into a Vacuum Wave. They are going to go for the Flash Cannon here, and that does a heck of a lot to this thing, as we do see an Earth Power, so that's great. Actually just kills! Yeah, of course, I mean, it's not like a Focus Sash, Iron Juggles, Ursaluna, absolutely huge attacker, so it is going to take out the Iron Jugglers. Who do they have in the back? They do have the Espeon in the back, however. I feel like I've seen this possibly from maybe an MVSBL video, but the Grass Knot from the Espeon. Cool tech for facing down opposing Ursaluna Blood Moon, as Pokemaster is going to get their first win. They finally made it out of the Elite Four, finally getting their first win of the season, as we now are in with Stefan versus Raymon. We've got the the previous champion from Season 1, Raymon, taking on one of the commissioners, Stefan, one of the Elite Four in the Battle Hub Draft League. We see a pretty cool Sun team here. We've got the Eject Pack Torkoal, we've got the Roaring Moon, we also see the Grassy Glide Rillaboom. But Raymon's no slouch either. They've got the Baxcalibur and the Zapdos and the Azu. Huge threats. We've also got Probopass and Salazzle. I think these might have been new. I can't remember when these transitions came in, but these were transactions for Raymon. I'm going to switch out the Probopass into the Zapdos. They're actually going to Terra first turn from Stefan. Terra Ghost onto the Drifblim to remove their weakness to a potential Rock Slide or Rock Power Gem, Volt Switch, anything this Probopass wanted to do. They're actually going to go for the Thunder Wave. I think a Shadow Ball might have been much better in this instance. Would have gotten some big chip on the first turn. As they're going to now send in Salazzle, go for the big Shadow Ball now onto this thing. As we could see something like a Substitute or a Toxic on this thing. They're going to get the Spadef drop. Doesn't quite take it out. Fake Focus Sashes. They actually go for Toxic Spikes on the following turn. So I don't believe they have anything to absorb it. But you know, we could see like a Rapid Spin on the Torkoal, as Salazzle's going to go down. Send back in the Zapdos. Thunderbolt, it's not weak to it anymore, so it is barely able to hang on. The Citrus Berry is going to eat it, which now activates its Unburden, so it means it will be faster on the next turn. As it does go, there's the Defog from the Drifblim. This would have been an instance where perhaps 2 Shadow Balls might have been there, or you know, a Shadow Ball on the very first turn to get some chip on this thing would have been great for Stefan. Unfortunately, a little bit behind the ball, as Raymon is going to go for the second Thunderbolt to take out the Drifblim, as their Terramon has gone down. They did at least take out the Salazzle, and they got rid of the T-Spikes, which is cool. Sends in Sandy Shocks, going to double out, predicting a switch. Sends in the Rillaboom. We'll see what Raymon decided to do here. They are going to indeed switch out. Let's see what they got into. They send in Nigel. So, pretty good double by Stefan. But Raymon's also going to double in kind and send in the Azumarill on the Rillaboom. And if you're sending an Azu, you know what that means. You are Sap Sipper, baby. Good prep from Raymon, you know, trying to take on the Rillaboom. You don't want to get swept by a Grassy Glide or anything like that. When you see the Lomol come in, as Azu is going to go for the Ice Spinner, get rid of that terrain. Also, cool tech. You need something to be able to hit the Rillaboom itself. So, and also it helps remove its terrain for later. So, go for the Scald onto the Baxcalibur. Baxcalibur does not care about that because of its ability. It cannot be burned. So it's free to go for this nice little SD, as they are going to indeed flip turn out into their Roaring Moon, who Raymon doesn't know exactly what set this thing is. They do have Ice Shard, but they're not going to quite go for it yet. They want to get some chip, or they want to make sure that it's not Sash or anything like that. Going to go for the Dragon Claw. Great play there, as they're going to U-turn out into Rocky Helmet Azumarill. So now this thing is chipped. So now Raymon doesn't have to worry about a sash. Roaring Moon taking out their win con. Reveals Draining Kiss on Azumarill, actually another very cool tech, perhaps for the Roaring Moon. As Flip turn out into the Torkoal now to set up the sun for their Roaring Moon. That means that Surf is going to do a lot less. Of course, Surf going to do a lot. Well, actually, I don't know. A huge power Azumarill Liquidation would have done a lot in the sun too. So even though Torkoal is much more physically defensive, anyways, goes for the rocks finally, but it's a little bit too late now. As Baxcalibur is in, they're probably going to go. Actually, no, they send in the Love Disc. You don't want to go hard Roaring Moon on this thing in case they Glaive Rush. They are going to go for the Sword Stance, though, and this might be the beginning of the end. Because now this Baxcalibur is in, once again, the same position. Just going to simply go for a Glaive Rush. There's no switch into this thing at +2. And not only is it +2, it is actually Life Orb. So this is just doing a massive amount of damage to anything. As Roaring Moon is going to come in, has the Photosynthesis boost, has the attack heightened. They have taken some chip. They are indeed Yachi Berry, but even with that, Ice Shard is just raw going to kill. And you can see the disbelief in Stefan's face. Shocked that a priority move would OHKO their best Pokemon. So, Grassy Glad Rillaboom is going to come in, but at this point, it is still too little too late. This Baxcalibur is set up and ready to go. Baxcalibur doesn't have to worry about how many turns of Sun, or you can see how much that Ice Shard did to that Torkoal. That's the power. The grassy terrain is actually helping out the Baxcalibur, mitigating the amount of damage that Life Orb does to it. Glaive Rush easily going to be able to take out this Torkoal at this point. As everything at this point is either going to get outsped and OHKO'd by Glaive Rush, or it's going to get Ice Sharded. The Photosynthesis speed here would be able to outspeed the Baxcalibur, but Sandy Shocks is weak to Ice Shard, so that means that it is going to also go down to the Baxcalibur. Continuing to take some Life Orb chip, but it doesn't really matter, because the Grassy Terrain's healing it. Another Ice Shard comes in onto the Rillaboom, and that is pretty much going to be GG's to Stefan, I believe. Oh wait, takes a little bit of Life Orb chip. Is there? Yep. That is the end. So Raymon gets the win 5-0. Lots of sweeps this week. Lots of big one-sided games. So next up we have Scorpion versus Lionel. Lionel, a newcomer to the league. Scorpion, former semi-finalist from Season 1. They are taking on a fairly scary team with Pokemon like Volcarona and Regieleki. They do have a couple of immunities to Regieleki. They just have to make sure to keep them alive. They've got Pokemon like Tyranitar, which could easily take hits from Thundurus. But they also have Pokemon like... Scorpion has Pokemon like Zamazenta and Greninja that can deal with some of those Pokemon as well. So, we're going to see the lead Pheasantipity versus the Hatterene. Not a very great position here, as Poison Jab is immediately going to do over half and get the bad poison right off the bat. As what is this guy going to do here? They're going to go for a light screen. Unfortunately, not the right screen to set up necessarily versus this Pheasantipity. So, already kind of behind the curve for Scorpion, as they're going to switch out into Torterra. Poison Jab is still neutral on this thing, does quite a bit. Second Poison Jab, kind of Russian roulette over here, as the second hit will get the bad poison here. Either going for the Toxic Chain Poison 20% or the Poison Jab, regular poison 30%. So decent odds you get one of those. So they are going to Shell Smash at this point. But because they are badly poisoned, they are unfortunately on a timer. So even if they try to take out this Pheasantipity, at a certain point, it's going to die to it on its own. So Pheasantipity does not like the situation it's in at all, as they're going to send in the Bronzong, as Scorpion just goes with a headlong rush. So revealing the Levitate, of course. They don't really have to worry about Heat Proof too much. Scorpion does have a tech for this, though. They are already set. They're going to go ahead and burn their Terra now to try to take out this threat to their team. and open the way up for something else. They're going to reveal Terra Dark. And with this, +2, now stab crunch, I believe, this should be enough to take out the Bronzong from full, and indeed it is, as Bronzong goes down. But because of all these continuous turns of poison, I think this might be the turn where, yep, there goes, down goes the Portera. As Zamazenta now comes in, versus the Pheasantipity once again. He's going to get that nice little defense boost to help it out. Going to reveal the Scarf now on the Pheasantipity. Gets another Toxic Chain, the third one. Absolutely insane. As Zamazenta is now poisoned. Another Pokemon put on a timer. As going to go for the Howl to try to boost the attack. Unfortunately, does not get Swords Dance. So one of the disadvantages of using Zamazenta. As good as its stats are, it just does not have the ability to really kind of boost its attack and get going here. You can do it a little bit, but just not as much as you want. As Guts, Conkeldurr is going to activate in return for free. We do see the Terra now come out onto the Conkeldurr, anticipating either a potential Psychic Fangs or a Play Rough. I just wasn't to get Play Rough. I want to say it should. Either way, going to go for the Psychic Fangs. Does absolutely nothing to this thing. Goes for the Drain Punch in return. Does a fair amount. It does have a defense boost, but it is still a Guts Conkeldurr, and it's going to continue to heal it back up. While Zamazenta might have leftovers, it is going to continue to get poisoned. Perhaps one of the big advantages versus disadvantages of Zamazenta Crown versus Hero. You might be able to hold an item, but you gotta admit, having that extra steel typing on the Zamazenta Crown would be great right now, as it would not be poisoned. Although it would be weak to fighting in this case. It would be weak to the Conkeldurr, you know. So, gonna go for the close combat. Doesn't have to worry about getting burnt. It is still +1 attack, so that's gonna do a massive amount to this Volcarona. And you do outspeed it naturally, so Zamazenta is at least still putting in work. All the while, it is continuing to get chipped. That is the story of this battle. This Pheasantipity is the true hero so far of this game. As Scorpion's Mons might be digging into Lionel's team, but as long as Lionel can outlast the Pokemon, force it to continue to take 2 turns to defeat every single Mon, it will continue to get more and more poison. The Zamazenta is defeating itself. Regieleki comes in, going to be able to outspeed this thing now that it's so chipped. It should be able to kill the Volt Switch. Although the Thundurus now comes in and is going to go for the Light Screen. Keep in mind, Light Screen is up, folks, as Thundurus is going to go for the Nasty Plot now. So its hits are basically the same as they would be if it was normal. They send out Biradu, the Tyranitar, as now that they've got one Nasty Plot up versus Light Screen, they need to go for another. So +4 Thundurus, absolutely massive special attack here going into Light Screen. Basically the same as, I believe, well, if it's ×3 and it's cut in half by the Light Screen, basically a 1.5 times +1 Thundurus essentially here. As going to miss the Focus Blast. Big miss, huge miss. Would have done a heck of a lot. Gets the knockoff there, unfortunately, as they're going to go for it again. Do manage to land this time. This is, however, a Max Spadef Assault Vest Tyranitar behind a Light Screen, and because of that, or at least that's what it appears to be, super defensive. It's able to live a +1 Focus Blast behind the Light Screen. That's why it was able to hang on. As now the close combat. Well, the +1's after the Light Screen, my bad. So T-Tar is finally going to go down to close combat, but this Zamazenta is taking Sandstorm and Poison. It does at least get a little bit of leftovers recovery to try to negate the Sandstorm chip. But because of Poison, it's probably on. Well, that did absolutely nothing. I don't know why. It seems to do so much less than I expected. That's badly poisoning for you. But Regieleki still outspeeds this thing either way. And all of Scorpion's switch-ins to Regieleki are gone. So Regieleki kind of has free reign at this point. As the Pheasantipity is going to come in, the Sandstorm's going to subside. And the as we do see the Oricorio come in to start Quiver Dancing. They have to try to be as fast as they can to outspeed the Regieleki. So they just need to not get poisoned here, ideally. Poison Jab's still doing a heck of a lot, as now they are +2. I would hope at this point this Oricorio would be able to outspeed this Pheasantipede, as +2 in special attacks, special defense, and speed. Also, they outlasted the light screen, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. Going to go for the roost. The thing is, Pheasantipede also has naturally high, gets crit there. Oof, that sucks. So I'm going to try to go for it again to try to negate that damage. At this point, continuing to play Russian roulette here, as eventually these poison jabs, one of them is going to poison, as finally we do see the regular poison there on Oricorio, as Pheasantipede is still just chilling there. The thing is, this Pheasantipede has 125 base special defense, can probably still live a hit, but Scorpion can't really afford to go for another Quiver Dance, because now of the poison, they can't really shrug off anymore poison jabs like they would have. The Revelation Dance barely going to 2KO, really does about 40%, as now the second poison jab into the poison is going to kill. They were lucky they didn't get the poison within the first few turns. They were at least able to get a little bit set up there. We're going to send in the Greninja to try to scare out the Pheasantipede now it's that shipped, as Regieleki comes in, going to go for the Surf here. However, it is not quite going to take it out. This will be a situation where it would be great to have Water Shuriken, but they decided not to have it, as Greninja decides to switch out here into, I believe, the Hatterene, which was very chipped at this point. There's no switch in this 2 Regieleki. I'm going to go for the Volt Switch, actually. It probably would have been okay just to Thunderbolt, but they might have been afraid of a potential Water Shuriken. But the fact they didn't go for it should show that they don't have it. Gonna go for the Scarf U-turn there now onto the Greninja. Gets another Toxic Chain. They poison just about every single Pokemon Scorpion's team. As now the Conkeldurr is going to come in, and there goes the Surf onto the Conkeldurr, but it is not even going to be able to kill it. Life Orb has almost killed this Greninja, in addition to the poison. And now at this point, because they don't have Water Shuriken, probably need a lot of hits to kill this thing, but the Mach Punch is easily going to maybe take it out. Even if they had it, they would have died to Life Orb there, unfortunately, for Scorpion. That's going to be the first win, I believe, for Lionel, as Scorpion gets a unfortunate loss there. As now we see Biradu versus JustWeavile. Big money match here. The progenitor of the Battle Hub Discord versus the progenitor, perhaps, of the Battle Hub Draft League. Well, I guess they started in addition to Adam and a Prayer. They both kind of co-founded it. But he is the owner. The owner of the Draft League versus the owner of the Battle Hub Discord. So, what have we got here in terms of the Pokemon themselves? We've got Garchomp, and Garchomp is going to be weak to the Iron Bundle, but they've also got Pokemon like Scizor and Electrode, which is faster than Iron Bundle as long as it's not boosted or anything like that. We've also got mons like Rotom, but Freeze Dry can do a lot to it. Freeze Dry can really go into Biradu's team once Scizor goes down, so they kind of need to make sure Scizor doesn't go down to anything in order not to get swept by Iron Bundle. So, Volt switch out immediately on this Electros. Trying to scout, see what's going to go for. Universal lead Rotom, always a great lead, as they bring in the Milotic character on the Giga Drain. Very interesting switch here, I might add. Bringing in a Water type on an Electric type. I'm kind of wondering what he was doing there. What he was going for. As gonna go for the knockoff, knocks off the Scizor's Choice Band. Biradu is getting very far, just continuing to switch out Pokemon. Not a very great start here for Biradu. This Electros, very bulky mon with a lot of coverage, unfortunately, that Biradu just does not have the answer for. They might have been afraid of an Ice Punch on this thing or something to hit the Garchomp. I think I would have gone Garchomp first and try to just get some big hits off on it. Maybe SD Scale Shot or something like that. Gonna continue to just keep on switching around, as finally the Electros decides to get out of there. And they send in Great Stripe, which would have taken on the Garchomp. So, if Biradu was predicting the Great, not the Great Tusk, the Landers to come out, great on them for bringing out Rotom. Gonna send in Electros once again on the Hydro Pump. Finally force this thing to take some chip. Does absolutely nothing. That's probably a Assault Vest Electros. as now Mixerdo is going to come in once again. They've pretty much seen all their moves, I think, right? Knock off Flamethrower, Giga Drain. So they're pretty sure that they don't have a ice type coverage move. Goes for the Stealth Rocks. Probably going to get up some hazards in this game. You really need it from Bundle and for Orlando and things like that. The Giga Drain is going to continue to keep this Electros healthy. They were able to get some chip off with Hydro Pump, but now it's healing itself. Garchomp continues to set up the hazards, but they do have to keep in mind that they do have a Furret. You know, JustWeavile's hazard removal might be limited to Tidy Up Furret, but it's still there. It can still do it, and getting up all these hazards in the face of a Tidy Up Furret, not the best idea, because really, I think this is a textbook case scenario of the image of someone rolling up a ball up the hill. You know that story about the man rolling the rock all the way up the hill and it just coming back down. This Electros that they were able to chip has gotten basically back to full. They were going to Dragon Tail the Electros out, get him out of there. Problem is they go out into the Furret, as now Furret is in a great position to simply tidy up and undo all of this Garchomp's work. So all of it was essentially for naught. Unfortunately, there is the tidy up. So now Furret is at +1 attack and speed, basically a Dragon Dance plus a Defog almost. As there goes the tidy up. Braviary is in. We do have the Tinted Lens, and they are going to reveal, I believe, the Terra Fighting. Yep, there's Terra Fighting, and they do have Vacuum Wave on this thing. A very cool tech for both Furret and Iron Bundle, and also Darkrai, honestly. They're going to go for the Last Resort, however, with a heck of a lot. So, Last Resort Tidy Up. What a fire tech. So, that means that this Furret, the only moves it knew basically was Tidy Up and Last Resort. Now, they didn't take any Life Orb Chip because they're Sheer Force. The Psychic didn't do anything. They are going to take Life Orb Chip, however, from this Vacuum Wave. Does a heck of a lot to Darkrai, though, but that now means that this Braviary does go down. I wonder if it might have been better to simply go for the Vacuum Wave and hope it killed the Furret. That way they would have still been near full. Either way, the Citrus Berry, interesting enough. Citrus Berry Darkrai. One of the first times I've seen that. They don't even have the chance to go for the Dark Pulse because the Braviary knocked itself out. They're going to go for the Thunderbolt, though. They are fast with Electrode, so great job chipping down the Darkrai. The thing is, though, wait, no, they still have Sizzle, right? Sizzler's still in, so they don't go Iron Bundle yet. They're going to go out into Lando as baits in the Rotom. So Biradu's still in the game. They're not looking too bad. They've taken out some of their key Pokemon, like Darkrai. In comes the Iron Bundle now, though, as they are going to reveal they are indeed Quark Drive, booster speed, but that means if they can force the bundle out, that Electrode should be able to outspeed it after. So they send in Slipknot. They're going to want to keep their Rotom alive. Yep, there's the Freeze Dry. Should be able to OHKO the Milotic here, as indeed it is. Their only switch in is, of course, the Scizor. So Iron Bundle's forced out, which means that Electrode can outspeed it now. They do send it in Great Stripe, however. Easily going to be able to come and take in on this Scizor. Going to go for the Bullet Punch. Probably shouldn't do too much. Yeah, Lando is able to eat that up. And it's going to take some more Rocky Helmet chips. So Scizor continually getting chipped. Getting in a position where it might not be able to take on the Iron Bundle anymore. As Typhlosion now comes in. Goes to the knockoff onto the Typhlosion switch. As gets rid of its Choice Scarf, which is nice. Gonna go for the Bullet Punch. I think this was a big misplay because this Scizor was one of the key things stopping the Iron Bundle. As now Scizor goes down, probably better to switch there. That was a -1 Bullet Punch, so not doing a whole lot. Saitama comes in now, though, as they're going to withdraw their Typhlosion. They might have wanted to preserve the Rotom more, maybe for Landorus, as the Volt Switch is going to come out. They probably figured they could outspeed Iron Bundle anyways with Electro at this point now that the booster speed, so maybe it was better to sack off Scizor. As Malfunction comes in, gonna go for the Trick now, and that now means that the Electros should have, a Choice Scarf, and the Malfunction gets an Assault Vest, so that's cool. Even with that Assault Vest, though, it's still gonna take a lot from this Giga Drain, as probably offensive Rotom. That's why it took so much. We go for the Hydro Pump, do a heck of a lot. No longer is this thing Assault Vest, so it does more than it did the first time, but it's still hanging on as Electros just continuing to live these hits. The Electrode, unfortunately, cannot Terra because they already used their Terra, so they're forced to just go for neutral Terra Blast. Does look like it might 2 a KO though. They're gonna take some more Life Orb chip. There goes the Giga Drain. Continuing to keep this pesky Electros alive. This thing just never seems to die. They are locked into it now though, as they're going to send in my Ling, the Typhlosion, my bad, which can live the Terra Blast because it's immune. It's nice that the Electrode is able to swap out moves, but this Life Orb chip is slowly killing this thing. They are forcing them to try to, basically they can't hit them. Because they can go for a Volt Switch or a Thunderbolt or something like that, but not going to affect Grave Stripe. All they can do is simply go for the Terra Blast, and I believe that was a crit too, as this Lando should be able to, yep, there it goes, takes out the Electrode, and that is going to be GG's to Biradu and JustWeavile. Great game by JustWeavile with the Electros, just continuously cycling Biradu out and whittling his Mons down. Biradu just not able to get the momentum early on in the game. Now we are here for Emeraldminer versus Almond. Almond wanting to get a powerful win off versus Emeraldminer, while Emeraldminer is coming off of the loss from Capt and B-Nard, trying to continue to stay strong, and both of these players really need to get a win at this point. So, sends in the Ogerpont, as we do see Tommy Tomato right off the bat. It is Air Balloon, I believe, so it can at least not have to fear a high horsepower. Gonna go for the rocks immediately into the girder. Gonna want to switch out there. As gonna go into Mandibuzz to force this Conkeldurr to try to take some chip. Gonna go for the knockoff. Great play by Almond. You know, just like in their first battle, first week versus JustWeavile, this girder was doing a great job of knocking things off. Gonna go for the Toxic to put this girder on a timer, even though it probably activates the guts for this thing. Might be able to force it to take more chip over time. Defog undoing Emeraldminer's work to try to get Stealth Rocks versus them, as continues to take some chip from the poison. Gonna get the girder out of there now. Sends in Rabombi, as yep, there's the U-turn to try to keep up momentum. Breaks a potential sash on this Rabombi. Sends in Heatran. They can't really do too much to it. They're gonna go for a U-turn though to break that air balloon in the future. Good play by Almond, keeping up momentum while also taking care of Emeraldminer's techs. As gonna for the power gem. Bit of a misplay there, as Girder's able to eat that up. Don't get much out of that turn for Emeraldminer. Gonna switch out once again. Back out into the Mandibuzz. Best way of dealing with this thing. They're gonna go for the Drain Punch. You don't want this thing to recover too much HP, but that still does a lot because it is Guts boosted. Despite being a not fully evolved Pokemon versus a very infamously defensive Pokemon, still doing a lot with that Guts. Gonna U-turn out once again, does absolutely nothing because this thing is Violite. And unfortunately, this Mandibuzz does not appear to have knockoff, so it can't even get rid of the Violite. Going to send in the Pincurchin to try to get some terrain going. We have already seen this girder has Defog though, so we could potentially see a Defog if they try to set spikes or just remove their terrain. Continues to get chip from the poison though, as yep, there it goes. Going to switch them back out once again into the Mandibuzz. Just keep on bringing in the Mandibuzz. They might be trying to lure this girder to stay in for as long as possible, because the longer the girder stays in, the more damage it takes over time. As now, for just one more turn, if this girder stays in, it's going to die to poison. As yep, there goes the Roost. Even though it does mean that it is going to take a lot from a potential Drain Punch on the next turn, they were willing to risk it because they knew they might go for the Defog there. So, terrain goes away, as that now means that this pesky girder is finally going to go down, and Mandibuzz is at full HP. So, Almond fell a bit behind on that turn, worked out for Emeraldminer, but they're going to send in the Ogerpon now with a big Ivy cut. It was a huge amount. Would have killed if they didn't get that Roost off, or they didn't take any damage from Girder. Going to switch out into the Pincursion to get the electric terrain back up for their Iron Valley and Halucha. Going to swap out hard, just in case they need the terrain again, I guess. They don't want it dying, so gonna sack off Mandibuzz here. Goes for the Stomping Tantrum, actually, kind of stalls out some turns with terrain, as gonna go for the Ivy Cudgel once again into the Mandibuzz. And now they're in a position where they're going to try to set up for the endgame there. They know that the sash has been broken on the Rabombi, so they're going to go for an SD. Almond actually goes for the quick attack. Attack to try to get around the use a priority move versus Halucha. The thing is that priority move is not stab, and it's not doing a lot versus the +1 defensive Halucha at this point. Electric Terrain is going to disappear. Going to go for a third quick attack. Give him his credit. Almond does manage to get Halucha down below half. As Silence comes in, going to Intimidate, actually. This Silence is actually going to reveal to be defensive by this point. It's got Halucha down to +3 attack. +3 still is able to do over half the Golden Go. Going to reveal its leftovers. Halucha is free to continue to spam the acrobatics here, as continues to do a lot of damage, as takes out the Golden Goat. So in a great position, still +2, unburdened speed, still +2 attack after the Intimidate. Actually gets a critical hit, a crucial critical hit on this Silence. Defensive Silence, which probably would not have killed, and probably would have died to this next dual Wing Beat. So very unfortunate for Almond, as now that is going to be pretty much all she wrote, unfortunately. We did not get to see the Electric Seed tech they had on Grafii with Terra Flying, Acrobatics, Electric Seed, Grafii. Could have definitely beaten Emeraldminer had things gone a little bit differently, but that is going to be the last of the footage. Alright gang, so one of the matches that we were not able to see because there wasn't any footage of it was Brandon versus Arcaniner, which saw the Bisharp absolutely putting in work, getting 5 kills. Not exactly sure in what order, but probably the Grimmsnarl, Jolteon, Ambipom, maybe a Low-Kick, the Empoleon, Sucker Punch, the Haxorus, or something like that. The Urshifu Rapid got a kill, most likely on the Great Tusk. I don't see a world where Bisharp takes out Great Tusk, unless it's very shipped. But, yeah. Just to complete 6, oh, good grief. There you go, Brandon. Alright, Icy Dude versus Notorious HIM, which saw Mamoswine put in some work alongside. Look at these walls. You got the Ting-Lu and the Toxapex. Looks like there was an indirect kill, maybe a poison on something like that. We've got Infernape. Got a little bit of work in with Bolt and Sandslash, but unfortunately it was just not enough to break through Icy Dude's team. Very bulky. So that's going to be it for week 4, I believe. We'll see you guys in the next one.